Hi, everyone. This is Colin Gerker with the Berkeley People and Culture team. I am the project manager and training lead for the Achieve Together Performance Development Program for non-represented staff. And I'm really excited to also introduce to you Kenson Chang. Kenson?
Hi, I'm Kenson. I work on trying to get the Achieve online tool set up and diagnose any other issues that users might have with the tool.
Great. Thanks, Kenson, for joining us today. Talking a little bit about Achieve Together, it's our brand new performance development program where we're sunsetting year-end performance evaluations and moving to a model where we are checking in about how things are going on a more regular basis. So there's no surprises with what we're working on the right things. And this is an opportunity for us as an organization to problem solve with more agility, to provide ongoing feedback, and all those good things that make great one-on-one check-in conversations meaningful and effective. Today, you're going to learn about your source for Achieve Together's check-in documentation and the roles both managers and supervisors and direct reports will play to complete the requirements to check in and document 3 times per year. Kenson is going to do a demo drive-through of the Achieve Together online dashboard and check-in forms. And for when you're ready to access the dashboard, you go to the Achieve Together website and you'll be able to find a big button to click to enter the dashboard, but also to find really helpful resources and tools for you. So with checking in 3 times a year, you have 3 documentation due dates to keep in mind: August 31st, December 31st, and just a quick note there, you can finish before or after curtailment, hopefully the week that you return, and April 30th. We have a really simple 1, 2, 3-step process for you when thinking about what do I have to do when I'm documenting my Achieve Together conversations. And we're going to dive into each of those components today, but just to boil it down into 3 simple steps, supervisors will start and share a new form with employees. Both supervisors and employees will enter their comments and notes, and then the supervisor and employee will finalize the notes and comments. 1, 2, 3, simple as pie. And today we're going to dive into each of those components. And with that, I'll take it over to you, Kenson.
Thanks, Colin. Here's the Achieve Together website. In it, you can find instructions, the Start New Form button, and the list of forms. Here, on the list of forms, you can check on the status of each form, whether it's form open for edits or form completed with the finalization check marks on each section. Previous forms will also live with the employee accounts. For those with the new manager, consider downloading the previous form for you to share with them. We're going to start this process off by creating a new form. Before we begin, though, here are some important notes. Managers and supervisors will initiate the process by starting and sharing a new form. A supervisor can create 1 form for each employee per conversation period. Once you start the form, it will be immediately available to your employee for editing. When you save your draft, your direct report will be able to view your edits. Likewise, you will be able to review your edits, review your employees' saved changes as well.
And one thing to note here is that your supervisor may launch the form for you before your check-in conversation, during that check-in conversation, or even after. Our recommendation would be to start and share that form beforehand so folks can start going in there and making some notes. And then in the conversation, spend most of your time actually discussing as human beings, really around those check-in questions and making notes and attentive listening. And then to also be planning for really around futures with goals, and we're going to talk about that. And then to do the bulk of your documentation, summarizing your notes after the conversation.
So let's start a new form. As manager or supervisor, click the Start New Form button. Select the appropriate conversation period. Today, we're selecting April 1st, 2020 through July 31st, 2020. Find your employee. In this instance, we're going to try to find Colin. Incomplete last names will also search as well. Once you've found the correct employee, click Select.
So what might happen if someone can't find their employee in here, Kenson?
If someone cannot find an employee, we recommend checking the directory to see if they've made any changes to their names. If you're still having trouble, we have linked out ServiceNow here so people can create a ticket directly to for the first contact team to solve the situation. Once we've found the correct person, click the select button. Let's confirm if the job is correct. This is very important for people who have multiple jobs on campus or common names such as John Smith. Once you've confirmed, click the select button. Here, this page allows you to import any goals that you might have. In this instance, I do not have any goals for Colin in any previous period. This is how it looks like when the system recognizes you have goals to import from. It will show the name of the employee, the period, and the corresponding button to start and share the form.
So Kenson, are there reasons why someone would not be able to import goals?
The goals live with the supervisors themselves, so if you're a new supervisor or if there's been a change in the reporting lines, chances are there might not be a way to import old goals from previous supervisors.
It's a really good point. Being able to import goals from check-in to check-in is a really big improvement and a really wonderful feature. It's also good to kind of keep those in Word documents as well when we have those sort of changes. So Kenson, thanks for sharing that.
Not a problem. Back to our main menu, we'll start and share a blank form. Once you have selected Start, you and your employees should receive an email starting the process. Here we have the form page. The top of the form includes general instructions and questions that you have during your check-in conversation. Down below, you should select the date that you had the conversation. We're selecting May 13th. And underneath that, you should write in roughly 2 paragraphs describing how the conversation went.
This is a really good chance to use the new achievement criteria, those 5 performance indicators: job mastery, goal accomplishment, collaboration, innovation, and inclusion belonging, and really reflect on those check-in questions. They map directly back to the achievement criteria. So opportunity to just document successes, areas that are on track, things are going well, and some opportunities for improvement.
Next, we have the goals section. Here we have current goals. It's set to the period that we currently have as April 1st, 2020 to July 31st, 2020. You can set up to 5 goals by adding more goals here. For example, here are some goals. Here are some more goals, and so on and so forth.
That's great, Kenson. And I think this is one space to call out that when priorities have shifted between check-ins, this is the time and place to officially document per our system of record. So in between, never wait for the check-in conversation to get on the same page when priorities have changed, but do document those changes. And this is a chance to also document when goals are complete, they're on track and will continue, or if the expectations have not been met.
This next section here on comments and current period goals gives you a chance to reflect on how you see the current period goals have either been met or have not been met, and any other comments that you might have for the employee.
Absolutely. And one of the things we want to mention here is that it's the supervisor and manager's responsibility to assign work at UC Berkeley. And that's pretty normal for many workplaces. But we also want to make sure that everyone is doing this in a way that is collaborative. So to have conversations with direct reports about what they want to be working on, seek out what they think are the major priorities, and then to get on the same page about expectations moving forward. You'll have 3 to 5 goals at any moment. Some folks will have goals that last for 2 years, and check-in conversations create really nice mile markers to check in on expected progress. And some folks will have goals that are lasting a month, 4 months, 2 months, and those create really great opportunities to check in within those conversations to say, hey, all right, great work, and now let's plan for the future.
Thanks, Colin. And to document those future goals, we have this next period goals set in August 1st through 2020 through November 30th, 2020. Here's where you document those new 3 to 5 goals that you might have. Down below, you have the Save and Share section. Here, you can save draft. Saving your draft saves your work. You can do this at any time in the process up until you finalize your notes and comments. The saved draft will be visible to both participants. Supervisors can also delete incomplete forms if necessary. Confirm by clicking the delete in the pop-up. Deleted forms cannot be recovered. We'll be talking about the finalization process later in the demo. Now, let's switch over to the employee side. As an employee, your supervisor initiates the process by starting and sharing the new form with you. Once your supervisor starts a new form, you may access your form via your inbox or on the Achieve Together online dashboard. Click your name or the form ID to open up the check-in form. If you have multiple supervisors, please make sure you select the correct form by checking the supervisor name. For this instance, I will be the employee and Colin will be the supervisor. The top of the form contains questions that you will have during the check-in conversation and general instructions. Enter your notes from the check-in conversation in the employee notes area. We recommend using about 2 paragraphs or less. Enter your comments on your current goal period. From your perspective, it's the chance to document which goals are complete, on track, and will continue, or if expectations have not been met.
And when you're in your check-in conversation, you're gonna have those opportunities to talk about what goals are going to be moving forward, what new goals are ahead. And so make sure that you are having those conversations with your supervisor, but to note that supervisors and managers are the ones that are responsible for putting in those details within the Achieve Together form itself. So just wanted to make a note about that.
Finally, you can save your draft at any time. Saving your draft will allow both the supervisor and the employee to see the changes. Now it's time to talk about how supervisors and direct reports complete their check-in form. Here's your need-to-know information. Finalizing your notes and comments will update your status to all done and locks your portion of the form for future edits.
And one thing we want to note here is that finalizing your notes and comments signifies that you reviewed the document in full and does not indicate agreement or disagreement with its contents. Per PPSM 23, Section B policy on performance appraisals at the University of California, non-represented employees are required to complete performance conversations, performance check-ins, performance appraisals. So you're required to complete. If there's something that is mischaracterized or there's some issues or concerns that you have, first do start with sharing that with your supervisor or your direct report. And if things need to get elevated, we have resources to support you through your HR partner or through employee and labor relations. So let us know how we can be helpful.
Either party, supervisor, or direct report can finalize their notes and comments at any time. The process overall is completed once A, both participants have finalized their notes and comments, or B, the supervisor has finalized the notes and comments and has bypassed the employee's completion of the form due to employee not being available to complete. Let's start with the supervisor version of completing the form. As a supervisor, scroll to the Save and Share section and click Finalize My Notes and Comments. Confirm by clicking the Accept in the pop-up. Remember, this will lock your portion of the form for further edits and cannot be undone. Here, you'll receive a confirmation message that you've successfully finalized your form. And at the bottom, you'll see that the status has updated to all done and included a timestamp. As an employee, scroll to the section and click Finalize My Notes and Comments. Confirm by clicking the Accept button in the pop-up. Remember, this will lock your portion of the form for further edits and cannot be undone. You'll receive a confirmation message up the top, and your status will be updated in the status section. If the employee is unavailable or has declined to complete the process, after the supervisor has finalized the portion of the form, a new button will appear. Click this option if the employee is unavailable due to leave or the employee has chosen not to complete the process. Carefully read the message and click Accept. The confirmation will appear at the top, as will the status update saying that the supervisor has bypassed the completion. Please note that there will also be an email sent to both parties.
So thank you, Kenson, for walking us through the Achieve Together online dashboard and check-ins form process. Really looking forward to folks getting used to the new form, but also wanted to let everyone know that we are here to help. We have lots of resources for you. When you visit the Achieve Together website, you can find information about the Performance Development Program and its key features, as well as the online dashboard check-in form resources as well. So you'll find a user guide, a getting started one-page guide, and a link to this demo.
When you need help, please feel free to contact the First Contact team. I've listed the link here to submit a ServiceNow ticket. It'll also be available in any of the emails that the system sends out. Finally, if you cannot submit a ticket, we've also provided a call option. Leaving a voicemail through that option will convert to a ServiceNow ticket.
And finally, if you have questions about this demo, never hesitate to contact Kenson or I. Our contact information is listed there for you. And thank you so much for joining us for today's demo. And we look forward to supporting you and answering any further questions that you might have. And thank you, Kenson.
Thank you, Colin.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone.